I spent a couple hours looking at different ways to make custom frames in Canva, and I think I've found what could be the best way. We're going to look at multiple things here. We're going to look at how to create your own custom frame with like the pen tool, combining shapes. We're also going to look at how to take vector graphics from Canva itself and turn those into frames. And then the last way we're going to look at is how to take some of those vector graphics that aren't just single graphics and kind of combine them together. So we're going to take a look at a lot of different things. You're going to learn Figma today. Don't be intimidated. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. So it's going to be really easy, and Figma is actually free. So there's a link in the description. You can click that to go sign up for Figma. There's also a link for any Canva Pro features that we use. You get a 30-day free trial if you want to test them out. Now, you don't have to utilize any of the Canva Pro features. You could just create things in Figma or bring things into Figma and then take them to Canva as a custom frame. Let's get started. As you can see, I've spent some time playing around with this, all of these checkerboard patterns, and you're going to see why it's a checkerboard pattern here in a second. But all of these different patterns, I've been figuring out all the best ways and how these graphics are laid out. The first thing I'm going to do here in Canva, and the first thing that we are going to do, is show you how to take a graphic from Canva to Figma and then back for the custom frame. So we're going to create a design. I'm just going to create a Instagram post, for instance, just a 1080 by 1080 box. So let's find some elements. In this case, I'm going to search for a bunny element. So maybe I want a frame that's in the shape of a rabbit. What I want to find here in the graphics section, if I go to see all, is a solid graphic first. So like a silhouette. And it doesn't have to be black. It just needs to be like a solid silhouette. Here's a couple right here. I'm going to grab this guy and drag him out. Now, the biggest difference between this and some of these other graphics, like for instance, this carrot. If you look at these two graphics, you might think that this carrot is a vector, but it's actually an illustration that's a photo. Photos will not work for this method. We're looking at vector graphics to create frames. This carrot right here, if you look in the upper left, it says edit photo. And when you click on that, you just have like photo options. This rabbit, when you click on it, there's two things that you see. Instead of edit photo, it says edit image, and it also shows a color, which means we can change the color of our rabbit. We want to keep it as black as a silhouette, but this indicates that this is a vector graphic. You would also see that as you scale up these graphics, you notice that this carrot actually gets a little bit blurrier. The rabbit would stay sharp. That's one of the benefits of vector graphics. They scale up. Okay, so we've got the rabbit. What we need to do now is export a transparent SVG. Now, this first method, taking graphics from Canva, does require Canva Pro. Like I said, the link will give you 30 days for free. You can try it out. You can also get it free if you're a student and your school or teacher has access to it, or if you're part of a nonprofit. Now, if I share this in this with the share button, that's how you can download things. And here we have a download option. On file type, we're going to go to SVG. You'll see the little crown next to that. That indicates that it's a pro feature. We also want it to be transparent, so we select transparent background. And then we're going to hit download. And that's going to download to our downloads folder. Now let's go over to Figma and let's learn a few things, and don't worry, I'm going to walk you through this. It's a really easy program to use for what we're using it for. So when we're in Figma, after you click that link, you just sign up. You could sign up with a Google email. That's what I did. There's going to be a lot of stuff here on the dashboard, right? And basically it's all your recent files. So Figma allows you to create unlimited free files. As far as organizing them into projects and stuff, that's where the Pro version comes in, but you get unlimited free files. So we just need to find a design file button. You can see this blue icon up here says design file. So we just created a new design file. Now I could name this up here in the top center, and I could name this just custom Canva frames, for instance. That way I could come back to this and utilize this artboard for that. Now it's letting me know that if I want a team to work on this, I need to move it to a project, but if I'm just working solo, I can save this in my drafts. I want to just keep it in my drafts. That's the unlimited free files, so you get unlimited free projects. So we're not going to move that to a project. We just have this for our own use. All right, so here we are in Figma. Now on the left-hand side is a layers panel. We don't have anything on our canvas yet. We also, in the upper left here, have tools. Tools like the move tool, tools like frames, which we won't use, tools like the rectangle tool, or if we click and hold on this guy, lines, arrows, ellipse, polygons, stars, a lot we can do there. We can also place an image or video. You know, we'll use that here in a second. We also have a pen tool right here. And also we have a text tool, which you could use as well. Maybe we'll look at how to do that toward the end. But what we want to do first is import that SVG we just downloaded. So we're going to go to these shape tools and just place an image or video, Shift Command K or Shift Control K if you're on Windows. And I accidentally clicked on the wrong thing. Oh, we don't have to click and hold. We can just click it and then click that. That's why. All right, so I'm going to go to Downloads and grab this Untitled Design SVG that we just downloaded, our little rabbit. And we're just going to click to place him in here. All right, the weird thing about SVGs is they come in with a lot of clipping groups and clipping paths. We can see all that in the layers over here. And if we drop down these arrows, we can kind of dig into this vector SVG. And we can actually see at this level right here, this little guy is our rabbit. And I'm hiding him and showing him with this little eyeball icon. So this little rabbit here, let's click and drag him outside of this big group that we have. And once he's outside of that and solo, we can actually just grab this entire design here and press the delete key. And we're going to delete out all the other junk that came with that SVG. So now we just have the single vector graphic of our little bunny. So what we have to do here, and what you see in a lot of other tutorials, is we need to fill it with an image so that when we bring it back to Canva, we can delete out the image and then we'll have our frame. So the cool thing here in Figma is you actually don't have to pick an image. On the right-hand side is our design tab with all of our little properties of whatever we have selected. So we have this guy selected. He has a fill. We can change that fill color, or when we click on that color, we can actually change it to an image. You see this icon here? We click on that, and it puts in a sample checkerboard pattern image. So now you know where the checkerboard comes from. Okay, so that's all actually that we need to do is click on image and have it fill it with that checkerboard pattern. Now, we need to create an export. So you see down here in properties at the very bottom, we have export. We'll click the plus icon. We'll export it as a PDF, and that's it. We're going to export this vector. So I expected it to tell me where to save it, but that's okay. It went to my downloads, and that's fine. So we'll go back to Canva now. And we have this bunny rabbit out here, which we cannot drop any photos into, right? Let's add a page really quick. And right here on this blank page, what we're going to do is insert that PDF. So we're going to go to Uploads here on the left-hand side, Upload File, and we're going to select Vector, whichever one we just saved, and open it up. Now you can see down here in this folder, it's actually uploading it to my projects or my files area. So if we go over here, we see I've got this checkerboard bunny now. I can open him up, or I can just click and drag him onto this canvas. Once I click and drag him out here, I've got this bunny, and I can actually select him and either just press the delete key and delete it out, delete out the image, I should say, or press or right click it, my goodness, or right click it and hit detach image. Now detach image gives you this image outside of the frame, which then you also have to delete. You should be able to just press your delete key on that rabbit, and then we can scale this up and down. And what we can do, of course, because this is indicated as a frame now with the whole blue sky picture, is we can go to elements, we can find some photos, we can put a rabbit inside of a rabbit, why not? We can click and drag this photo out and place him right inside here. Then if we double click on this, we can actually shift this image around, scale it up and down, even rotate it if we wanted to fit it inside of our frame, but that's more just frame properties. As you can see, we took a rabbit vector image and turned it into a custom frame. All right, let's speed this up a little bit. That was the slow version, right? Let's go back to Figma. Cool, we made or brought in a rabbit. What if we wanted to make something custom? Well, the pen tool here if we select the pen tool, we can click and make points to create custom shapes. And once I go back to my first point, it closes that path. And once I'm done working on all the points, I can hit this done icon up here. And now we have a vector shape. And this vector shape currently has a stroke, which is like a line around the outside of the shape. We can remove that by clicking the minus icon, and we can go give it a fill. And it'll start as a colored fill, but we want that to be an image, right? And so we've created this same thing, and we can do the same export here. So let me show you a couple features where you could actually create your own custom frame here in Figma, and then just download that as a PDF, upload to Canva, and use it as a frame. So let's create a sample here of a house, for instance. By the way, I want to show you one more thing about the pen tool. If you click and drag, you're going to create handles, which will allow you to create curves. So if you've never used the pen tool in a program before, click and drag to create handles, to create curves, and then you can actually go back in and edit these. Actually, I would switch over to my move tool. The shortcut key for that should be V, and I can click on these points and I can actually edit these handles. See how I can kind of edit that around? I can click on individual points and move them around. So this is how you can edit vector points of your shapes, which would turn into frames. Okay, so now let's make a house, right? So I can delete out, or I can hit done and then just delete out that shape. So we'll make a quick house to show you some of the tools here and some of the things you need to do to create a cohesive graphic. I'm going to create a rectangle out here, just like this. As you can see, we're already getting started, huh? All right, so then I'm going to create another rectangle. By the way, the shortcut key for the rectangle tool is R. And I'm going to hold shift this time. I'll make sure it's a perfect square. Otherwise, it's going to be like a rectangle, right? So hold shift, make it a perfect square, just like that. Now, if I want to edit the anchor points of this, I can double click on it. And then I can select one of these anchor points and press the delete key. Maybe not. What I can do is actually go to the pen tool, and I can hover over one of these anchor points to delete it. I should be able to delete one of these anchor points. Hold on. Okay, if I hold Option on a Mac or Alt on PC, then I can delete an anchor point. Sorry, guys. I am used to Illustrator. All right, hit done, and now we have this triangle, right? So we can hover over the corner and rotate that triangle. Holding Shift will keep it locked in to specific degrees, probably 15 or so. And then once we rotate that, we can bring it down here. And we can kind of click on the corners and scale it up. If we want to, we can double click on it again and select this anchor point. And we could, move it around to change how the roof of our house looks. So we could move it up a little bit. Hold Shift and it won't accidentally skew. Just hold Shift and keep it vertical there. So there we go. We've got that. So let's create a door and a window, for instance. I'm going to hit done on that shape. Go back to my rectangle tool, kind of create a rectangle over the top here. This will be just a window. And now I'm going to go ahead and make this fill a little bit different so I can see it. And then make sure I have my move tool selected. Select both of these shapes. So I'm going to select this rectangle and this larger shape of the front of the house. And then we have these icons up here, which are like the Pathfinder options in Illustrator. So you can subtract, exclude, etc. Now this is one of those things where you always kind of guess what you're doing. I'm going to guess exclude will work here. That works well enough. It took the color, but that's okay. We don't care about the color. But it excluded the window. So now we have a transparent window in there. And we've cut a hole in our shape. So we're going to do that same thing and make a little door over here like this. We can kind of move it around. And now that we've made the rectangle for the door, we're going to click and drag to select the front of the house and the door. And this time, instead of exclude, we're going to click this drop down arrow and do subtract. So it subtracts the door out from this rectangle here. Now, we want all of this as one element. You can see there's multiple layers over here. We have a subtract layer, we have the rectangle on top. So we're going to click and drag to grab the whole house. And you notice it grabs these two layers. And we're going to click this union selection button. And that's going to unite all of those vectors into one shape. That's important because if they're separated, they're going to come in as separate frames. We want them as one single frame. So we've made a house icon. We're going to create an export for that. Now that it's selected, we're going to export a PDF, and it just exported. Usually you can elect to give it a name. You could add a suffix right here if you wanted to. So now we're going to go back over to Canva. I'm going to delete out this rabbit, and we're going to bring in through the upload button, upload the files, upload that union that we just created, and then go to projects, kind of wait for it to upload and do its thing. Oh, we forgot something. We forgot to add the image. So let's go back here, and we're going to select this. Instead of this fill, we're going to fill it with an image. Now we're going to export that. So we've got to bring in that other export, right? So we could delete this really quick, move it to trash if you accidentally do that. And then we're going to go to uploads and upload files. And then we've got this second one here that we actually added the image to, and that's so important because Canva needs to see the image. So we're going to bring in this union here, and we're going to right click on it and detach the image, or just delete. Press the delete key on it. There we go. We've created a house, and now we can bring in an element like a bunny again if we wanted to. I'm going to bring in a sunset. So we're going to find a sunset image, click and drag it onto the house. There we go. We created our own house frame. Okay, so that is how to take an SVG or a vector graphic from Canva to Figma and back to make it a frame. That's how to use your tools in Figma to create custom frames. Now, the last thing I want to show you, remember when we deleted out all that gobbledygook from the clipping portion of this rabbit? The last thing I want to show you, maybe the last two things here, is let's find an example graphic element that has text on it and multiple words that are not connected. There's one in particular that I used as an example, and I know that it works. Right here, it says, "You are loved." So I'm going to drag this out. So I've got this piece right here. I'm going to export the SVG from Canva here. I'm going to grab SVG, make sure transparent background is selected. Make sure, because now I have multiple pages, that I just have the single page, this one, selected. Done, and then download. Now I'm going to run over to Figma really quick. And, I think you can actually click and drag things into Figma. So I just dragged that from my downloads folder. So remember, this has a lot of different things going on. So if we select this guy over here, you can see in our layers panel, we have multiple things selected underneath this new design that we brought in. So we have a vector here. Looks like that guy is nothing. You can see if these layers are a part of your actual image or not. Actually, it looks like he might be something buried deep in here, and it really doesn't look like we need that. I would just hide that. This vector, okay, that's the word R. Now we drop down all these arrows until we find the vector that is the actual word. This vector right here is the word you. Drag that up. I'm going to just put him next to this guy. Same thing in this clipping path group. That vector is the word loved. Now we've got all these three vectors out here. I can delete out the other things. Like this first vector shape, just select it, press delete, clipping path group, delete, clipping path group, delete. Now these three vectors are inside this untitled design frame. I don't really need that either, so I click and drag them up and then delete out that frame. So look at that. Now I have these three vectors. These are three separate elements. If I were to bring this and export these guys into Canva, they would be three separate frames. If you want that, that's how you do it. But if you don't want that, you need to unite them. So click that union selection button. It creates a union, which is a single vector of all three of these guys. And then we go and we do our same export. We export our PDF, and then we go back to Canva and we upload it. Really quick. But the good thing about this, and I wanted to show you this because some of these graphics, I did it again, everyone. So make sure that fill is an image. And then we're going to go back to, or actually we're going to export it, and then we're going to go back to Canva. So you have to make sure that when you're downloading the graphics from Canva, and you're downloading these silhouettes to use as frames, you've got to make sure that you unite them if that's what you want. If you want like all the words to have one single image behind them, click and drag this "You Are Loved" out here. delete out the image, and then let's go back to our sunset, right? Bring in a sunset image, and those are graphics. Go to photos, and we'll use this one and just put him in there. There we are. So you have to make sure that you delete out or merge together all those elements that are single so that you can actually have a full frame. Let's try one more thing, okay? I told you I would try the text. So this is, elements from Canva, but what if you just wanted to make your own? Let's just try this. And we'll do, here's a curly Q font right here. We're going to make this. So I'm sorry, I pressed T for the type tool and I just clicked on my canvas to type. And then I'm going to increase the size by a lot, 128. Now there is a scale tool here in Figma, and the shortcut key for that is K. So if I press K, I have the scale tool out. It's actually the drop-down arrow on the move tool. You can get to the scale tool, and we can scale this up and down. So let's say we have U. I'm going to duplicate this by holding Option or Alt if you're on PC and drag it down. I'm going to double-click in here, R. So we are just editing this text, holding Option or Alt, dragging it down. We're going to put loved, just like that. And that'll fit somewhere in there. We're just going to kind of put him in here. I wonder if we can rotate him. Yeah, let's rotate him a little bit. There we go. You are loved. Here is your Walmart version of what they had over here. All right, so these are 3 separate layers. Okay, perfect. I wasn't sure about this, but if I select all 3 of these, I can select them in my layers panel by holding Shift and clicking on the first one and selecting the last one. It's going to select them all in a row, or I can just select them out here. But what I saw is that I have the Union or Unite button. So we can create the same thing, a little united version of these vector text elements. And before I forget this again, we click on Fill, we go to Image, we export as a PDF, and now we go back to Canva, and we can upload this as our own little custom text frame. Real easy. I'm trying to show you guys plenty of examples. I know that this tutorial is pretty long, but here's another example. We can press delete, and we can go back and bring in a different sunset or some clouds. There we go. We just made that. So Figma is an awesome vector design program. It's actually used a lot for UI and UX design. So like people creating apps and building out websites. There's prototyping features and animation. And if you're interested in any of that, go get on Figma and play with it. But basically we just have a big old canvas here. Command or Control minus and plus to zoom in and out, by the way. Big old canvas here. We can create things on it. We've got some shape tools. We've got some pen tools, things that Canva doesn't have. I wish they did. And then you can also import SVG graphics, which is huge. So any SVG graphic that you have, it doesn't have to come from Canva. You can import into here, make sure the background is transparent. And once we export those as a PDF with an image attached to them, as we've done here, and the image can be this checkerboard pattern, you can use that as a frame in Canva. You can create custom frames in Canva. You can do this really quickly. I've got 2 tabs open here, and I can create a graphic, and you saw, just boom, export to my downloads, import over here, and I'm using it in my design. Now, the one thing you can do here in Canva, if you have Canva Pro, is you can have a brand kit and a brand template. So if you wanted, if you had like custom frames that you use all the time for a specific project, specific brand, your company, whether it's all on one page or you've got multiple pages of frames, and then you could save them as a template. You could save this into your project. So if you had multiple frames here that I could just like copy over and then have these multiple frames in here, I could literally hit share and then go to, I believe, save my file. Okay, brand templates right there. That's how I can do that. I can go to more, and instead of brand template, I can find save to folder. So I could literally save this to a folder. I could create a new folder and just call it custom frames and save it into a folder here in my Canva account that I could then find in projects. And here's my folders down here, right? So I could have I could have a Canva frames folder that then whenever I'm working on designs, I just hit projects and go to that folder and I can pull out those custom frames. That's it. I think you guys, if you're using this, you can really see how you can be creative with this and utilize custom frames here in Canva, and pull pieces together and then merge them all together to make them their own frame. If you have any questions, seriously, just leave a comment on this video. I appreciate it if you watched this far. And I don't know, stay tuned for more Figma, Canva, web design, and design tutorials. And I will see you guys in the next video.